Adolf Hitler is known as the villain behind Nazi Germany, but as evil as he was, his rise and fall is a fascinating topic, and that's what we'll be diving into today. On April 20, 1889, in a small town in Austria, baby Hitler was born. From a very young age he showed signs of intelligence, stubbornness, and most importantly strong will. He grew up alongside his younger sister Paula, and two parents, Alois Hitler and Clara Polzel. He wasn't born into a rich family, his father worked as a civil servant. His father was known as a very strict and authoritarian man. I suppose that's where he got it from. His father had high expectations for him. He wanted him to also work for the government, but Adolf was very rebellious. He would refuse and say he wanted to become an artist. He specifically loved painting and drawing. Soon he began attending school. He was particularly good at history, geography, German, and obviously art. Though soon he and his family had to move to a town called Lambach where he was educated at the Benedictine monastery school. He consistently participated in the church choir, and his love for singing caught the attention of the school's director. He believed Adolf had the potential to become a priest. However, though Hitler's ambitions were something else, and he later rebelled against the religious teachings and values. When he was 9 years old he and his family had to move again, this time to a town called Leonding. There he attended a very prestigious school, the Realschule. At the beginning he was doing just fine, but slowly his grades began to drop and he would have many clashes with the teachers, who criticized his behavior and lack of discipline. During this time, when Adolf was 13, his father became ill and soon passed away in January of 1903. Although he had many disagreements with his father, he heavily mourned his death, and his relationship with his mother began to cripple too, who had to support the whole family by herself as a single mother in the early 1900s. Throughout his teenage years his love for art began returning. He had dreams of studying at Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. In 1907, when Adolf was 18, he decided to submit his application. However, when his results were returned, he found out he was rejected from art school and his dreams of becoming an artist were shattered. The same year his mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. Despite receiving decent medical treatment for the time, she passed away in December of 1907. Since he was 18 he could go to foster care or an orphanage, so he supported himself by selling his paintings, postcards, and portraits, though he didn't make much money off of them, so he was in deep poverty. He began immersing himself in the cultural and political atmosphere of Vienna. Adolf Hitler began forming his hyper-nationalist, anti-Semitic beliefs. He began supporting Pan-Germanism, which was an ideology that believed all German-speaking people of all German-speaking countries needed to unite. He also read lots of anti-Semitic literature and began developing an even deep hatred for Jewish people, blaming them for basic problems in society. In 1913 he moved to Munich, Germany, seeking new opportunities. The following year his plans were destroyed as World War I began and he eagerly invested himself into the German military. During the war, his nationalistic beliefs, German patriotism, and sense of loyalty among fellow soldiers grew. During the war he showed great bravery and was awarded the Iron Cross. The end of the war brought Germany into a state of turmoil and political instability. The harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles, which imposed significant financial reparations and territorial losses on Germany, left many feeling bitter and resentful. Now, in this post-war setting, Hitler's political career began to form. He decided to join the German Workers' Party, which later turned into the Nazi Party. Something that got Hitler where he was his oratory skills. He was able to captivate his audience with his powerful speeches. He would talk with extreme emotion and dramatic gestures. His charismatic presence allowed him to connect with people on an emotional level and convince them of his extreme ideologies and beliefs. One of Hitler's earliest known public addresses took place on October 16, 1919, at a beer hall in Munich, Germany. This speech marked his formal introduction to the party members and attendees. While the details of the speech itself are not extensively documented, it is said to have centered around nationalist sentiments and anti-Semitic rhetoric, themes that would become hallmarks of Hitler's future speeches. Due to his incredible speeches, he was able to quickly rise through the ranks of his party and become more and more known and respected. His party would go through countless campaigns, propaganda, and exploitation of the tough economic situation of the country, until eventually, the people and the politicians liked them so much, Adolf Hitler was chosen as the Chancellor of Germany in the year 1933. As soon as he stepped into power he began drastically changing the country. he began implementing a series of policies and reforms that drastically transformed Germany. These included the suppression of political opponents, the dismantling of democratic institutions, and the establishment of a totalitarian state. Hitler's government targeted specific groups, particularly Jews, as well as political dissidents, homosexuals, Roma people, disabled individuals, and others deemed undesirable by the Nazi ideology. Specifically, in 1935, the Nuremberg Laws were introduced, which systematically deprived Jews of their rights and citizenship. Hitler's intentions were beyond what most people thought. As the ruler of Germany, he didn't just want to introduce new laws and reforms, he wanted to expand Germany's territory and influence. In 1938, under Hitler's rule, Germany annexed Austria, and later made territorial claims within Czechoslovakia, until eventually Hitler took it too far and invaded Poland. Britain and France got mad, and declared war on Germany. Now World War II had officially begun. Throughout the war, Hitler and his generals orchestrated military campaigns across Europe, including the invasions of France, Denmark, Norway, the Low Countries, and the Balkans. Hitler's strategic decisions, such as the ill-fated invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941, proved costly for Germany. As the war progressed, Hitler's leadership style became increasingly erratic and detached from reality. His refusal to accept defeat led to devastating consequences for both Germany and its occupied territories. The war crimes committed under Hitler's command included the mass murder of civilians, the persecution of minority groups, and the establishment of concentration and extermination camps, such as Auschwitz. In 1945, with Germany's defeat imminent, Hitler retreated to his underground bunker in Berlin. On April 30, 1945, he died by suicide, along with his wife, Eva Braun. Germany surrendered unconditionally shortly afterward, marking the end of Hitler's regime and the beginning of a lengthy process of rebuilding and reckoning with the atrocities committed during his time in power. If you liked this video, I have tons of other interesting history and geography videos you should check out. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey there, if you made it to the end, congratulations. A very small percentage of people actually make it to the end, so comment G down below and I'll subscribe to you. Bye.